We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Mary Lee Gannon. We're going to be talking about today how freedom is success and how success is freedom. Not more hours, not more slavery, not more working yourself to the bone, but how to have that freedom. And that freedom really is your success. She says it's relevant that for everyone who wants to be represented at work, advance in their career, prioritize their well-being without being so overworked that they don't connect with the people that matter. She went from welfare, food stamps, medical assistance, being homeless and without an automobile and quickly becoming a CEO of a $33 million organization. She says that Hawaii is working harder is not the only necessary strategy to advance your career. At a certain level, everyone does that. Yet really hardworking and great people get passed over in their careers because they haven't even positioned their value, positioned to create the measurable impact, or they sit back waiting for their merits to get noticed. So she helps the leader advance quickly and feel satisfied. Success is freedom, not more hours. And she also says that as a stay-at-home mum of 4 children, while living what looked on the outside to be the country club lifestyle, she was unpalatable in an unpalatable marriage. She filed for a divorce, a leap of faith, not at all prepared for the avalanche that befell her, like generally happens. And within 6 months, she and her children were homeless, without an automobile, on welfare, food stamps, medical assistance, and she quickly reinvented her life as that CEO organization that went up to 33 million to support her family. And she helps others get off that treadmill to nowhere, to be respected, to advance their careers, and to prioritize being in their own 5-star leadership formula. Going when, I'm divorced, yes, been there, done that. It's shattering enough, for the nerves, for just, all the dreams that get shattered, because you always think, you're going to go off into the twilight zone with each other and all that type of thing. And, the great grandkids will come round for Sunday dinners and all of that. And suddenly that is gone. And you've got a pile of kids to look after. And, going from the country club lifestyle to food stamps, that is what I call a really big cosmic 2x4. But sometimes that's the catalyst, isn't it? To kind of, you can either go down that rabbit hole of despair and don't know what to do, or it can be the fuel that makes you want to go, okay, I'm taking the driver's seat.
That's so true, Sarah. I mean, that's the transition right there. That's the why of choice. We can go down one path of the why or the other path of the why. And I think it's very difficult because when you're trying to make that transition in a divorce, you've already had a very big rejection, right? So somebody has rejected you for any number of reasons, and then it's human nature to sort of start blaming yourself for that. Well, am I not whatever enough?
Yes.
A good enough wife, smart enough, cute enough, interesting enough, whatever enough. And now I have to go out there and create a life on my own, abandon all of the dreams as you described them. And it's gutting.
Yes.
However, we attach thoughts and stories and assumptions to that, like my dreams are broken, I'll never have my dreams, but we create new dreams. I encourage people to think of the dreams you had when you were a child. They weren't the same ones you had when you were in high school. As a child, you wanted to fly. When you were in high school, you wanted to get into a good college. When you were out with your first job, you wanted to get a promotion. So the dreams change, and it doesn't mean that the context of those dreams can't change too. It might be that some people can't have children, they adopt children. Yeah. Some people foster children. Some people find a dog that they love, so I think the biggest thing that we have to learn is how to first honor the despair that you were describing so that we can release it. Because when we turn
Yeah.
away from it, it just chases us down with all of the reminders of
Mhm.
how we're not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. The old adage, when somebody gives you lemons, make lemonade,
Mhm,
right? And that's the
mhm,
thing is that, yes, go through the remorse, the release, let go of the
mhm,
dreams. You've got to go through that. You can't just put a band-aid over it and say, well, that's that. Um, you've got to go through the emotions because yes, a huge big dream that not only that you dreamt that you were invested in has
mhm,
suddenly gone, whether it is a divorce, whether it is a job you were in
mhm,
that you
mhm.
thought you were climbing, that investment into that, and suddenly you're shattered. But I thought I was on the right trajectory. I thought I was doing all the right things. And you just got to look at it. It's the universe saying, you've got what you've got from it. And now it's a redirection to where you need to go. And if we could stop being so resistant, get stuck in but why me? And instead go, okay, but what's next?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And we're all striving to be there. And
Yeah.
I think that you are a great role model for that because and I really liked what you said about let's not put a band-aid over that
Mm,
because our more current culture would like to tell you, oh, just be positive,
yes.
which none of the research supports that taping on a band-aid of a new positive thought is going to be sustainable. As a matter of fact, the research shows that it just makes you feel worse when you can't sustain feeling better. Oh, what's wrong with me? I can't even do that. I can't even think differently. And everything you just said about we must honor the pain so that we can move through it. It's like putting a leaf down on a stream and allowing it to
Mm,
flow by, as opposed to jumping into the rapids and letting the rapids carry you down the stream.
yeah.
No, I'm going to put this thought, assumption, whatever, and allow it to flow by because when we can sit with that discomfort 30, 60, 90 seconds, we start to realize, oh, this is my imagination. This is just my ego trying to protect myself
Hmm.
because that's what we do as humans. That's why we're not
Yes.
extinct as a species
Yep.
because we're really good at playing it safe.
Yes.
Except safe doesn't get the promotion, doesn't get the job, doesn't get love because we're too guarded.
Mm.
So we
It
have to
doesn't
be in,
create all the innovations that we have today,
yeah,
right?
precisely, precisely. And it takes a lot of humility to be able to say, I'm sad. And I'm probably angry. I'm covering over the sad with anger
Yeah.
because I don't want to feel sad. So I'm going to get mad because
Mm,
that's easier. But underneath, I'm hurt.
mm.
I'm hurt. And when we can do that, I mean, I spent a lot of time trying to make it look like I didn't hurt. Like
Well, you had four kids who
Mhm.
were used to a certain lifestyle, and now you're suddenly saying, sorry, kids, it's porridge, you know? And and they look at you and you feel guilty and have I done the right thing? And and that's kind of the reason why I stayed with my husband is that my sister did that and it literally went to porridge,
Yeah.
cooped up in one little apartment room. And and it's
Hard.
you feel so guilty, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, if you didn't do it, not only would have you continued to die inside, but the whole atmosphere, because, in the end, it was my children that came and told me to divorce, right? Because it's like, it's enough, mom, enough, right?
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
don't give them enough credit to actually invite them into the conversation of what they're seeing, because they
Yes.
are very much a part of it. And so you've got to go through all of that emotional transition. And where the positivity, I think, comes into it is that the seeds that you plant the positive seeds, the ones that are going to grow and be fruitful. You got to nurture them, you got to water them, but you're feeding the possibilities. That's what the positivity is. You're feeding the possibilities, not the what if, but the what if, right? Change the tone. What if I just did this? What if I just did that? You know what? It didn't work. Okay, mark that one. That one didn't work. Now let's try this one.
Mhm.
But if we're not into that mindset of willing, people call it failure. I don't. I just call it a lesson learned. You know,
Mhm.
that didn't work. Okay, so what else to try? And sometimes you don't know what else to try. Okay, just be present with self. Something will come up.
You're so right. I love what you were saying. That to make a mistake, I call it a maybe not a mistake, a did take. I did take
Mm,
some action here. Okay.
mm,
I moved something in my life and it's not serving me right now.
exactly.
And that doesn't mean that I am married to that situation. And I
Hmm.
think sometimes what happens is we identify
Hmm.
with the situation not working out. This is a situation, and then I have thoughts that I can either attach or not attach to that situation. But when the kiss of death is when I attach my
Yeah.
identity to
Yes.
that situation, now I'm really on a downward spiral.
Right.
Many people have had difficult things happen to them in childhood,
Hmm.
in relationships, having to move, losing jobs, lots of things, lots of life transitions. And when we don't know how to draw that boundary between who I am here, myself whole, and this situation, we start demeaning ourselves
Yeah.
by must be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
I am the situation and you are not the situation. You are not the divorce. You are not the reduction in force. You are not the layoff. You are not anything else that has happened to you as a child, as an adult, or anything else. You are you, and situations occur. We have choice in
Mm.
what we can think and how we feel, but let's honor how we feel. Let's not tell ourselves how we feel.
Right.
Let's create new thoughts that create new emotions, right?
Hmm.
Let's honor this sadness and realize that I've been dragging along with me on a leash this feeling of not being good enough,
Hmm.
and I can let go of that leash because that's just a thought. And I can
Yes.
create a new thought now that I've honored the bad emotions, the negative emotions. I've honored those, and now I can create new thoughts. And those new thoughts might be, well, I never really liked that job anyway. So maybe
Exactly.
now is the time I can try. And you know what? This husband he wasn't really Prince Charming. So,
Hmm.
and that's okay. And I'm pretty good on my own. I'm doing okay. I'm not in need of this. I'm
Right.
making a choice to find love. But I
Right.
realize, and I know this in my own life, I worked really well and I rose to the C-suite very quickly, but I didn't find love quickly
Hmm.
until I was able to put down the guard and be vulnerable. And that was
Yes.
by sitting with the disappointing emotions.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm constantly saying this. If we want to attract love, we need to show people how to love us by loving ourselves.
Oh, so well said.
Right? We have to
Well
love
said.
who we are because that's the frequency, that's the vibration we're putting out. We want
Hmm.
people to honor us in our space. But if
Hmm.
in your space is insecure or
Hmm.
feeling vulnerable or guarded, that's the kind of people you're going to attract. When they're going to be the ones to to attack, right? Or they're going to be the ones that just want to kind of fix you, right? You want to have people that see you. Well, if you
Oh,
want them to see you, whether it's in love, whether it's in business, whether it's in your community, then you've got to be able to look at yourself eyeball to eyeball and do you see yourself? All your
so
flawsomeness,
oh,
all your flawsomeness, because we've all
it's
got flaws. Don't beat
it,
yourself up for those little idiosyncrasies of yourself. It's what makes your character up, right? But you've got to be representative of who you are from the inside out, not what somebody expects from you on the outside.
I so can relate to what you're saying because I can remember thinking, oh, I'll just be well put together. And I'm trying to find somebody, right? So I'm online dating and I'm talking to lots of people and I'm so well put together. I was attracting all of these men who wanted me to do everything.
Right.
Ah, you
Yes.
know,
Oh,
you
she
can
can do
just
it.
do
She can do it.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was sort of like, no, I'm not don't want to do this like this, but I'm really good at it because I had to be. This is how I
Yes,
supported my family. But like, can someone maybe like want to take care of me? You know?
exactly.
And I think that's okay that
Yeah.
as a girl, you want somebody to maybe take you under their arm instead of you leading everything, making all the decisions, taking all of the, all of the stuff that comes along. And I really had to stop doing my CEO role
Right.
and go back to being Mary Lee, which was
Yes.
really kind of innocent and artsy and just want to walk on the beach. I never wanted to be a CEO. I had no goals of being a CEO. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and paint seashells and I had to get back to that person. I had lost her. I
Yes,
had lost her
you
along the
lost her
way.
out of necessity to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people do. There's also this illusion that you've got to climb that ladder, that you're
Mm-hmm.
only important if the six figures, the title, the this, the that. And it's like I've interviewed so many people who say, I got there and realized I didn't like the club, right?
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
like, but everybody's out there living a facade.
Yeah.
Living a place from ego, living from an illusion that actually nobody knows who the damn hell they are.
It's so true, Sarah. I'm profoundly grateful to have had mentors and angels along the way who have helped me be successful from a professional capacity. And I am profoundly grateful for that. To this day, I'm grateful for that. And I like, I love my role. I love what I do. I love who I work with, but I can't identify with this. And I see
Yes,
this a lot in my clients. They get to the end of their career and then they don't know what to do because they don't have an identity in any other
yes,
way,
I
right?
know.
They're always the leader
Yeah.
or they were always, whatever. And now all of that power is gone. Now all of that authority is gone. And there wasn't anything else developed along the way. And the
Right.
kids have left town. And now, you're looking at,
And the wife says, go and play a
who
game
am
of
I?
golf.
Yeah, and I know.
I don't need you micromanaging my house. It's actually interesting because, I've interviewed a few veterans and, one of them was a couple. And what I love about veterans, because I'm not pro-war, but it's what they do for each other when they come back. They see something they need and they create it for
Yeah.
themselves. And this one is about how people, when they're coming back from service, to let go of the control factor, the
Mm,
dictation factor, and realize they're coming back into the fold of a home where the wife or the spouse has been in charge, being the commander,
mm.
and they can't come into that space and start commanding, right? But
Yeah,
they don't know
good
how to let
point.
go of that leadership. And the thing is that if you don't have something outside of your work,
Mhm,
um, other type of projects that when you finally do get the gold watch, even if they do that anymore, and you've
mhm,
retired, if you can take all that wonderful expertise and go and put it into a wonderful foundation that needs direction, right?
mhm,
Something
mhm.
that you are now, I've made the money, I've made my mark. Now let me give back to society, right? And they can
I,
start doing that even before they retire. And I guarantee you, the people that do that, they feel, I don't care if I'm a trillionaire, I get more worth, more self-worth from that than I have ever done from achieving that.
it's so important, and I say this to my clients all the time. Everyone needs a side hustle
Yes.
because your company has a plan B for you. That could be they could lay you off and replace you in 30 days and never look back. What
Right.
is your plan B,
Yeah.
right? So I created a coaching business over a decade ago because I love it,
Mhm.
because that's really a passion of mine, but it's also a stream of income for me. So no matter what happens out there, because I've already lived where I didn't have a plan B,
Right.
and I know what it feels like to
Yes.
be stuck in that, and I don't have a lot of options. So I think
Yes.
it's really important for us to have options and be able to have the confidence to say, I'm going to go for this.
Hmm.
And I might fail, but I'll fail early. because
Hmm.
I'm not afraid of the rejection of failure.
Or
It's not
fail
the worst
forward, as
thing.
someone put, which I like the
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
It's not the worst thing that's
No,
ever happened to me.
exactly. It's you look at a skater that's learning how to skate, or a child that, I have almost a 2-year-old grandson, when they're learning to walk, they're going to land on their backside more times than not, you know, but do we call that failure?
No.
Right? It's the failure is when you say, I'm giving up, I'm never going to do this, never going to get back up again, never going to get back up again. And that's failure. You've given up, right? But
Mhm.
the tenacity to say, "Oh, okay, a little too to the left this with that time, gotta balance out a bit more." And each time you get back up, you learn how to stand still, how to be able to move forward with a steady balance. And life is about balance, isn't it? But it's through the falling on the arse that
Mhm.
really are the best lessons, because learning not what to do and letting that frustration out actually very often gives you the epiphany of what really to do.
It's so true. And I find what's even more insidious is, sometimes we just get frustrated enough that, all right, I'm going to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm that way with my closets.
Mm-hmm.
If you come into my house, it looks beautiful. Don't open the closet, something might fall on your head. And so once in a while, I'll get so frustrated with that, I'll clean out the closet. But I think what I see that's even more damaging is the subtleness of dummying down our dreams, of
Mm.
abandoning belief,
Oh God,
because
yeah.
we've taken these assumptions and these expectations that didn't work out and allowed them to attach themselves, masquerading around as our values and our
Yeah.
beliefs. Like,
Uh,
well, it's never going to happen. I'm too old.
you're right.
Or I won't find anybody. Or I can't get into the C-suite because I don't have that master's in whatever finance, business, and whatever it is that's necessary. And and slowly and subconsciously, you're just giving up on yourself more and more, such that, okay, well, if I fail, I'll just fail small down here. It won't be as hurtful as
Mm.
if I really put myself out there.
Yeah.
And then you find, and this is the worst, you get to where you're feeling numb and empty because the
Apathy is worse than any
yes,
other emotion. It is. Yeah.
yeah, the emotions aren't mutually exclusive. If you're going to
Mm.
put down pain, you're going to put down joy too. Your love
Yes.
is going to go fall with it. I
Mm.
don't want to feel these painful emotions. And then all of a sudden, you don't even realize you're not feeling anything. And then you have this nagging feeling in the back of your head saying, well, why am I not happy? I
Mm.
kind of have this nice house now, but it's from that
Yes.
little bit of spiraling down what we think we deserve, where we think we belong. And it's a denial of truth. It's denial of who we are. It's sad.
It's sabotaging ourselves. It's eroding at our own self-worth, and we become our own worst enemy. We
Yeah.
don't need anybody else to chop us down. We're so
So
very good at
true.
doing it ourselves. You know, been there, done that. I'm uneducated because I was a very sickly child, so I missed a great deal of schooling. So I probably maybe have a grade 7. It was always like, oh, let's hope she makes a good marriage. Didn't, but but before I even got married, I taught myself into jobs that I didn't even know what I was talking myself into. And then I'll get into the job and go, whoops, what do I do here? And then just found out, well, where's my strength?
Oh,
And
you're
then
so wise. Mhm.
used my strength. Like I worked for Mobil Oil. I was the first woman rep for Mobil Oil in South Africa. Knew zero about oil. They even put me through a course, still knew zero about oil.
Mhm.
I didn't need to know about the oil. The people I was, serving were women that they were people that already knew what kind of oil they liked. What they were
Mhm.
looking for was customer service, right? So you make friends, you build relationships. It didn't matter I didn't know. And they kind of knew. They kind of knew. She doesn't know anything about oil, but she knows how to service. We're having a problem with this. We're having a problem with that. Okay, let's address that. How can we overcome that? What do you need for the next phase of this, that, etc.? And that they felt heard, they felt seen. What
Mhm.
does a customer want? They want to feel heard, they want to feel that they're seen and that you actually are paying attention to their problem or to their needs. And so I realized I didn't need the degree, although it probably would have been helpful in a number of other areas. But
Mhm.
it was all the jobs I walked in, and sometimes I walked into a secretarial job and I couldn't even spell secretary. So that one did not work. Right. So again, is that you have no idea what you can do until you go and try and do it.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, look at you. I mean, look at who you are. Look at who you are today, because it sounds to me when I listen to you that you live your life by what's in front of you.
Mm,
You know what's happened and you know what's in the past, but you see opportunity, you look for opportunity, you make opportunity, because that's how we survive. That's how we succeed. We
yeah,
don't pull with us the doubt, but you have to know what to do with that doubt. And it sounds like you did. And I have a very similar story. In my case, I've never been qualified on paper for any role that I've had ever,
good for you. Good for
ever.
you. They're
And
just
I
pieces of
still,
paper.
yeah, but I knew that going in. So when I would go on a job interview or when I would position myself to be considered, I could demonstrate measurably, and I'm sure you did the same thing, what I'm good at measurably. I could do this, I can raise this amount. And so if we focus more on what we can do instead of
Yes.
what we don't have,
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
then we have
So what
power.
that you're not good at, this is the thing, society or businesses become lazy because they want people to wear all of the hats. Now, when you're a solopreneur, you have to wear all of the hats. And believe me, some of those hats are very wobbly on my head. They're not
Yes.
good at all. But when you're in an organization, they love you to be a generalist. Oh, you're good, you can do this, that, etc. Um, yes, okay, you may be able to do that, but why are you not utilizing what I'm really good at?
Mhm.
Right. And really kind of, she's really great at that. He's really great at that. How about we put them together and see what happens?
Well, what you demonstrated that you did is a very transferable skill. I mean, you were smart enough to see that social savvy, connection, relationship building, negotiation, consideration, compassion, listening, those are very transferable skills, and not everybody has them.
No,
But
it was
because
all I
they're
had.
not,
It was
well,
all I had.
but let me tell you, I mean, I work at a hospital, so we have some people from the highest end of the intellectual food chain here doing,
Mm, mhm.
and the relatability of some of these people is just not present.
No,
There's fights in the operating room because we've got people that don't know how to relate to each other. So that skill, and I don't mean just here, I just mean in general,
mm,
but that skill of being able to relate to people and really discern what it is that they need without them even being able to articulate it themselves. It sounds to me like you're very good at that. That's priceless for an organization. But you have to be able to talk about it in a way to communicate that when you're on an interview or you're at a
yeah,
networking event in the way that you just did. You know yourself well enough. That's the point of
yeah.
self-discovery, to know yourself well enough to step into a space where you know that you're good at that, and you show up differently when you know you have it together. When you're not sure, your eyes are rolling and you
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
talk wobbly, and
You know,
they
you
don't
know,
get hired.
I love the where have I got it? I've got it here somewhere. You know, the first impression, like what is it? 55% when you walk in through the door is how confident
Yes.
do you look, right?
Mhm,
And it's,
mhm,
somebody's gone on board an Armani suit, but they don't have the Armani personality,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
It doesn't matter even if you came in jeans and t-shirt. It's do you carry it? Are you
mhm,
clean? Are you represented? Because really what people want to see is how confident, not cocky, how confident are you in yourself? 38% is your tone of voice,
mhm,
because that sets the stage for how they're going to listen. 7% becomes the content. If they
mhm,
haven't bought the first two, they don't care what the hell the content is,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Because you haven't got the personality. People,
mhm.
it doesn't matter what, there's many people I know that should never be out in public, never be doing anything in public. They're great to be in the little
I
dark
know.
room with the computer because, or science, this or that, because they just don't like people, right? And yet you see these people in positions that are leaders over other people, and it mind boggles me.
Well, it's a really good point because conversely, there are people that have great finesse and no character.
Mm,
People liked Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin at first too,
right,
right? They had
exactly.
the charisma, they had that finesse, they could bring people in, but they didn't have good character.
Right, exactly.
So, we end up with a lot of leaders in positions because, oh, we're going to hire that person because, well, they're just going to get it done. Look at them. They
Yeah.
look like they have it together. And then
The
we end up
ultimate con man.
right. And then we
Yeah.
have no retention. Everybody's quitting the company because
Right.
nobody's living the values. But we
Right.
have this great, look at this great leader here.
Yes.
And when you can command both, when you
Yeah.
can combine great character with good confidence,
Hmm.
with and there's a difference between confidence and self-esteem. Confidence is being confident. There are a lot of confident people
Yeah.
who deep down really doubt themselves.
Yes.
So that self-esteem of I feel worthy to be here. I know
Mm.
that I belong here.
This is my
I've
mission,
earned
my
it.
purpose. This is my
I'm
drive. This
proven.
is my commitment.
Mhm.
This is what I say to people in business. I don't care who you are, um, or whether you're a solopreneur or leading a big company, you are representative of your business. So whether I meet you in a mall or meet you in a restaurant or meet you in a boardroom, I
Mhm.
want to know the essence of who you are is the same person across the board.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, you may wear different hats
Yes.
and present yourself in a different way accordingly. But if I do not see the truth of your heart and soul, for me, if I don't feel your heart and I don't feel your soul, I don't
Mhm.
know your character. Right? That is what's important to me. I don't care who you are, where you come from, how old you are, what color you are, what planet you're from. It's all about that heart and soul. Is your heart in it? Because if your heart is in it, generally your integrity is in it, the drive
Yes.
is in it, the enthusiasm is in it, and that is the invitation that because of the inspiration.
It's so important.
Mm,
Victor, I think it was Victor Frankl who said, there's a space in between stimulus and response.
mm,
And this is where I see so many people fall apart because in that space is your freedom and there's a
mm.
choice in that space. And often what happens is I see two things very prevalent in corporate America. I see the fly off the handle leader,
Yes.
the person who feels a little threatened and now they need to speak just to be heard. They're talking at a meeting and they need to,
Strut
and
their stuff.
nobody's, it's like, no, it's like the wah, 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 and nobody's paying attention
Mm,
because we know this person just needs attention. So they lose all their credibility. They
yeah.
have no executive presence. And then there's the person who's very thoughtful, who's probably got the best idea, but feels intimidated and
Yeah.
doesn't want to say anything. And then they're sitting there kicking themselves because the person next to them comes up with the idea 10
Yeah.
minutes later and they're saying, well, I thought that 20 minutes ago.
Exactly.
And and they're not showing up with the presence that is truly and authentically them either. And the
Mm,
dance is being able to narrow the distance between stimulus and response to your authenticity,
yeah.
to really go deep inside and rapidly go through the very things that you're talking about. All right, I see this. I feel threatened here. I know I have a practice. I know how to deal with this. I'm going to take a deep breath or whatever other mindful practice that they use. And I'm going to let this flow through me because I have something to say here and it's valuable. And
I think
that's practice is important.
very, very important. I think that in a boardroom, um, yes, if you had the hierarchy, but instead of speaking to impress or to get
Mhm.
attention, is rather look at some of the most successful bands in the world and
Mm,
how their creative process came together. Each one of them knew each other's strengths.
mm,
Each other one knew how to connect with one another. And they could just get together. I've got a few words running in my head, or I've got a tune. All right. One will start playing, one will start singing, one
yeah.
will start this and that. And next thing you know, they've clicked in And now you've got this
So true.
transformational song. And because it wasn't anybody's ego in the way, it was, this is something, come and join me. How can we build this together? And I think if the boardroom could be less about stiff, don't catch his attention, or this, the fear factor that we see there, and more of um, around a coffee table. Hey, I need
Mhm.
some ideas. Who's got some? I don't care how far out there they are. Throw them on the table. Let's see what we can do with them. Now you have a creative force.
Yeah,
And somebody may have thrown one out that's ridiculous in the beginning. And then somebody throws this out and this out and this out. And then all of a sudden, that one you had in the beginning, if we use it this way, and this way,
smart.
right? Why are we
Yeah.
not stepping into this and still paying attention? I spoke to a young woman the other day who's going into business. And I said, I want to give you a thought. What's the difference between a janitor and a CEO? Well, the janitor cleans. The CEO is, kind of the head. And I said, but what would happen if the janitor's not there? Well, it wouldn't be clean. And then what would be the impression on the CEO?
Mhm.
Because you walk into a place that looks dirty or tardy or unkept, immediately your impression of the company goes down. So that janitor, the person who's never given any value, who's not seen or seen and just ignored, has set the stage.
Mhm.
Everybody has a role, and that company is only as good as everybody's participation.
It's so important. I see this in healthcare every day.
Mm.
We work very hard to empower the front line, and the front line might be housekeeping staff, it might be
Yeah.
the transport staff, it might be the valet, because that's the first impression. If
Yes.
the place, if they can't get out of their car into the hospital, if the food is cold and
Mm.
the room is not clean, no matter how good our care is,
Yeah.
they're going to feel that it's subpar.
Yes.
And in order for that to happen, we have to value everybody regardless of their role or pay scale, because
Hmm.
everybody has a role that's important. And that's a safe environment. That's where
Yes.
people feel seen and heard. I'm on the inclusion council of our hospital because we're very acutely aware that there are a lot of people that don't even feel seen.
Yeah.
And when everybody's seen, it raises everybody up.
Exactly.
Everybody is part of a whole, and it's a round hole. It's not a triangle.
No,
It's
it's
a
it's a
holes are
circle.
round,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. No
And we
beginning,
have to,
no end. That the beginning and the end need each other. And
and and
it
and
takes off the hierarchy, or the ego, or the outer reach, the ivory towers, as I call them. They're up in the
mhm,
ivory tower and they have no idea what's going down to maintain their ivory tower.
mhm.
And eventually, the people that are at that ground level are going to go, screw this, just
Well,
ignore it, and then you're going to start seeing everything crumble.
you mentioned, the military. The military is
Yeah.
very good at that. I love, I've been fascinated with war movies since I was a child in
Hmm.
elementary school. And I think it's because of the brotherhood nature. It didn't
Yes.
matter what they were fighting for.
Right.
Some of them didn't want to be there. Most of the time, they didn't want to be
Right.
there, but they cared about each other and they
Yes.
did great things. And I learned from that.
Yes.
I studied that. I've read books about training at West Point, and that synergy that they build, no man left behind, empower the front
Mm.
line. It draws people, it draws trust. And when
Yeah.
you were describing the CEO who thinks he's above
Mm.
it all, people don't innovate at meetings and
No,
come up with ideas if they don't feel safe. They
exactly.
don't feel that's going to be welcomed, and we lose great innovation and a great efficacy, great productivity, because we've got, like you said, egos in the way.
Exactly. You would love my global veteran stories genre, because, as I said, I'm not pro-war at all, but I have such regard for these people with
Mhm.
who they are when they came back. They all have
Mm.
some sort of post-traumatic stress or something they're dealing with, but
Mhm.
it's like, what can I do about it? How can I be there for my other people. And of course, it's transcended into, the communities themselves. And I have such high regard for all of them and the work that they're doing. Not necessarily the service that they did, but the service that they're doing now,
Mhm,
because they have really are. Um, they've taken that military experience and brought it to the home front. And in much regard to people, it's showing how you can show compassion and be there for each other and
mhm,
provide skills and tools to support one another. And it
mhm,
doesn't matter if you're a five-star general or whatever you are, we all feel shattered at times. And it's how, where is the brotherhood? Where's the sisterhood to hold each other together in that safe space? And I think if,
mhm.
if business could look at it that way, I did a wonderful series, Let's Get Synced, and it was in interviewing mostly people from Europe because it was aligning with someone else. And it was about the climate change of business and practices for climate change. And we're
Mhm.
not going to change, climate change until we change the business practices. And when we put people and planet resources before profit, everybody is enriched. But we have for so long, it's profit at the expense of people and planet. And that's what's got us into trouble. And I think this is why so many people, walking away from those jobs that you were talking about where they vote feel value. All it is, it's the bottom line, the bottom line. I don't care if we screw over the bottom line. And, our hearts and our souls and our integrity cannot be a part of that without it shattering us, without it challenging us. And we have to put where is our value, not only on ourselves, but on our own integrity and what we want to put our presence to.
It's really an important point because I see this in directors and managers that I'm coaching, and they get angry at their organization. Oh, they're only focused on money. They're only focused on whatever. And I don't know whether or not that is entirely true because I'm not within that
Right.
organization, but I do know if that's the thought that we are attaching to our leadership, we
Mm,
are showing up bitter. We're
mm,
showing up feeding the beast of our
yes.
employees that are thinking that as well. And that's easy to do. A far cry easier than saying, I am being called here
Yeah.
as a leader to a higher level than I've been in
Mm,
executing.
yes.
I am called to try and tie the value of the work that we're doing to the personal values of these individuals, which means I have to get to know them better. I have
Mm,
to delegate more to them and get out of their way, not micromanage them, not rescue them either, not jump in and do the work for them, but expect more of them because they know I believe they can do it. And that requires me as the manager to re-engineer what we're doing because the way we're doing it isn't working. We can't be as productive as we need to be.
right.
So I have to think now through how can we do this better to be more productive? And if I don't do that, I'm not doing my job as the leader.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
becoming the disgruntled employee.
With a
And
lot of
so,
sheeple.
yes, yes. So we're afraid, we're afraid,
Mm,
but in the thought, the subliminal thought in the back of the head is saying, you really can't do this. So it's
mm,
better to complain. Whereas there's a great crack in that darkness
mm,
that is calling us to walk through it. And in that, we have to be alone and all right with ourselves being out there creating new ways to do things and then engaging our team in the process of doing them. Like, how could we do this better? And people will innovate. But when you jump onto well, there's just less people and more to do. And,
yeah.
then you quit. It's called quiet quitting. I'm sure you've seen it in
Mm,
in the literature. Quiet quitting hurts you. You
yes.
quiet quit and you're, again, emotions aren't mutually exclusive. You're going to quit at work. You're going to quit at home. You're going to quit
Mm.
on your exercise routine. You're going to quit on healthy eating, on your self-care. Don't quiet quit on yourself. You're being called to something greater, and you do have the ability to do it when you believe in yourself.
You know, you talked about kind of going through that crack of the darkness, and people are so afraid to go into the dark. But you've got to understand you are the light in that
Mhm.
darkness. What needs to be seen, what needs to be understood will be revealed through your light. You are not dark. You may have darkness around you and you've not switched yourself on. Just flip that switch and be that
Mhm.
light in that darkness. That darkness is a big blackboard waiting to be written on, right?
Mhm.
Waiting for those innovations and all those dreams and desires and possibilities to come out. I'm an extreme possibility. You know, like when I see something, I go way out there because
Mhm.
I've got to know how the end user is going to feel.
Yeah.
For me, it's how are they going to feel with whatever service, business, product, or anything else? How are they going to feel? I want to hear in my head the conversation they're going to have and how happy they are. And so that's what I'm aiming for. And
Smart.
we've got to allow ourselves, you know, I often refer where we are each individual instruments, learning how to play. And sorry, somebody's just come up on my computer saying something. And, oh, my mic. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, go. Okay, you can go away now. It's not going away. Okay, now it's gone. We're each individual instruments learning how to play our instrument and learning how to play it well. And yes, we could be soloists and we can really do very well as soloists. But when we decide to come together as an orchestra, each one of us in our
Mhm.
own beautiful um, capabilities, and we have that right conductor that knows how to draw us together, and we're
Mhm.
willing to play harmoniously together, look at what we can transcend, right? You know,
Mhm.
it's there are times that you're called upon to stand alone and be what you are, but we're called along mostly to bring the essence of who you are to the collective so that it can expand out even further.
It's so important for people to remember what you just said, that we are not solo individuals by nature.
Mhm.
We're born to be in a tribe. We're
We are.
born to be collectively together because that's where we're safer and we thrive.
Mhm.
And so, when we isolate ourselves because of whatever thought or assumption or expectation that we've created in our head, that we've assumed as a belief, and now are living that thought, that doesn't serve us.
No.
And I was thinking when you were talking, I think it was Maya Angelou who said, people will forget what you say and what you
Mm.
do, but they will never forget the way you make them feel. And
Exactly.
that's why you were so good at what you do, because instinctively, you know that. And you're not worried about, I see people going on interviews so worried about it's like a performance.
Yes.
And they lose then the curiosity they have in the person that's interviewing them.
Yes.
I mean, it's not so much about how you're going to answer the question, but what questions do you have? Like,
Yes,
what
it's
keeps
well, it's
you in this
conversational.
organization? Right?
Right. It's
Yeah.
conversational. It's, you know, I always say to people, you're eavesdropping, come and join us. You know,
Mhm.
it's a, it's, it's the sharing of experiences, and the sharing of experiences expands, you know, into, I haven't thought of it that way. Oh, I might try that. Oh, that's a different point of view, you know, and that's the whole thing about, hey, what I'm doing is to show that there are other ways, to show that there's different practices. So to show the people that can help you on your way if you are at that transition and that's, you know, at that crossroads in the roads and you're not sure where to go or how. You want to go forward, but you don't know how, right?
Mhm.
That's the point. First and foremost, I think one of the things we've lost as human beings, and I think is so essential to actually living life, is wonderment.
Well, I love wonder. I love that
Yes.
word.
It, you know, if we've lost the wonderment, if we've lost the inquiry, if we've lost the exploration, the sense of adventure, and that doesn't mean
Mhm.
you all have to put on a backpack and go into the jungle. It's just the, you know, it's just the wonderment of life, the exploration of life. Okay, you've had, you know, I've said beforehand, I've just had a really bad week of a peculiar virus flu that
Mhm.
knocked me for six. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, all right, I'm just going to surrender to this. This is what the body needed, right? I'm not going to fight it, not why me or this or that. Yeah, it interfered with a lot of things that I had to do, but you sometimes you just have to surrender and let
Mhm.
be what will be. And then even during that, a wonderful thing happened, right? So a wonderful opportunity happened. And it's like, let go sometimes. Let go of your expectations or the
Mhm.
dictation of how you want life to be, and be in tune with who you are, why you are, and what you're here to do, and stand tall in who you are.
I love your word surrender. I just love that word. What if we, what if we just surrendered to, I don't need to control this. I
Yeah.
can't control this. What if we just surrendered to, I don't have to do anything?
Hmm.
What if I just surrendered to, this is maybe going to turn out okay?
Yeah.
It's the when we try, the happiness is the shortest distance between what you want and what you have.
Yeah.
How can I get a little bit closer to what I have being what I want?
Mm.
What do I have right now that I'm overlooking
Hmm.
because I'm externalizing all of this fear, all of this control I need to have? What am I missing
Hmm.
when I don't surrender to all of these things that I think I need to have in place? I have a
Where's the
client right now.
peripheral vision? You're so
Yeah,
focused on one thing that all the things that are around you, I actually have a workshop on that, a program that I
yeah.
put people through. And when they come out the other end and go, oh my God, I didn't realize I was so switched off that I wasn't paying attention. Right. And it's a very simple little journey. And what it reveals to people always shocks them, because we are so focused. I need to be there. I want to be there. I'm only going to be happy when I'm there. That all the things that you actually need and want are all around you. They've already been given to you or shown you the way forward, but you're so busy going there that you're missing the whole point.
Well, that's because our culture
Mm,
survives on this. I mean, our culture continually reminds you of what you don't have so that you will purchase, right?
yes.
So you
Yes.
have this little bit nicer house,
Hmm.
this little bit nicer car, this little bit nicer job, this little bit better salary, this little bit better handbag, jewelry, and then social media comes along and
Hmm.
continues to put in front of your face what perfection looks like and
Yes.
remind you of what more you have to do to get there.
Yes.
It's horrible. Anybody who's watched, the documentary on social media knows that was put on by the people that created all of those
Hmm.
platforms. And now all of them are saying, I don't allow my own children to have a phone that can access Instagram or Facebook.
Right.
Right. These are the people that created it.
Yeah.
So, you have to be self-aware, which is exactly what you promote all the
Mm,
time, is to notice what's going on so that you can observe what the culture is doing and make a conscious choice to, I see what's going on here. I'm surrendering.
mm,
I'm whatever your mantra is, whatever your purpose
yeah.
and intention is, to be focused on what it is that you intend instead of getting sucked into what everything around you is conditioning you for. And they're really good at it. So you have to be intentional.
Even the triangle in the orchestra may not play every time, but it has a significant role. So, you
So
might be
good.
that triangle. That is your tune. And maybe every round isn't, for you, but there is that round where that triangle needs to be heard. And you've got to go, all right, ding, I'm here. Right. And it's
Yeah.
having that confidence to say, even if you have very often, in a boardroom, especially, you have the bully that always pushes themselves forward and shuts everything down and, is just over speaking everybody. And, there's ways of even combating them. And sometimes it's going directly to them. And, I think, blah, 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 blah. What do you personally think? And address them on it. And put the spotlight back on them where they want it, but make them come up with an idea on that subject,
That's
because,
tactically on point.
yeah,
Really brilliant. That's exactly what you should do because that person is the most unhappy person in the room. That's
exactly.
why happy people don't hurt one another.
Right.
That's why they're doing that. And when you can get their ego back in check by letting them know that you have their back, that you're interested in them, that you're not threatened or you're not going to take their power away from
Right.
them, when they know that they're safe around you, they leave you alone. And so many people work so hard to get those people to like them. That's not your goal. Your
No,
goal is to get off their radar screen.
exactly. Exactly.
That's the
Um,
win.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look, let's face it, we see it in TV shows, and I'm from the 70s. I'm 68. So 70s was my big business culture. And I was in South Africa, incredibly misogynistic.
Yeah, I've been
Incredibly.
there, but it's a beautiful place though.
Beautiful
Beautiful.
place, but try working there as a woman,
Yeah, no.
and it, sexism and everything else that was going in there, and it just drove me crazy. One of the reasons why I actually left the country, in the end, because I just couldn't take it, and that and the apartheid, because I couldn't take that
Yes.
either. But it's going back to how I see people. You would have the people strut, 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 and then suddenly they catch my eye and go, "You see me, don't you?"
Mm-hmm.
And all I had to do is look at them and smile and go, yes. But then I became the enemy, right? Because the ego needed to be protected at all costs,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I was up against like 99% misogyny,
Yes.
So at that time, it was very, very hard. We still see it in some corporations, in some workplaces. Where was it I saw on the news? Oh yeah, here in British Columbia, a woman, an Aboriginal woman who works in one of our parties here, has resigned due to the misogyny and the uh, just the inability to talk about the subject without the degrading. And she said, "I've had enough," and it's put the entire, not just her party, all of the parties on form, where they would put people down and be degrading towards them, and
Oh,
to
it's
get a
dreadful.
laugh, to get a point across,
Mm.
is like is no longer acceptable. It never was acceptable. It's no longer tolerated.
Yeah. Well, and it happens everywhere.
It
If you
does.
look, the survey that just came out, I think from McKinsey, where the number one reason women are leaving the workforce is not because they're not paid well, it's
Mm,
because they're not valued.
right.
Now, pay follows, promotion follows.
Yes.
Those were the two that followed, but not valued.
And
I
not
mean,
respected. I mean, it's still
yeah.
that's, we've got to understand when looking at the age group of our young men, it's how were they brought up? Were they
Mhm.
brought up to revere a woman? Now, are your children girls or boys or mixed?
I have three girls and one boy, and my husband has two girls. So we have five girls and one boy. And the boy's the baby. My boy was my baby.
Right.
He's extremely savvy and he is very respectful of women,
Yes.
because I think the next generation coming up saw their mothers working. My generation did not see their mothers working,
Hmm.
right? So a mother was at home and
Hmm.
you came home for lunch in the summer, and the mother wasn't working. But I think the next generation is very attuned to respecting women, because they saw how their moms struggled really
Yes.
hard at work. And so I'm hopeful for that. There's
Well, that I think is, you see this so many times. Seeing people, it's like, a single mum brought me up, or, it was my mum, and, I wouldn't be who I am today without my mum. But
Mhm.
it's also the way then they treat other women,
Mhm.
because they realize they're treating other women like they would their mum. And
Mhm.
so if you see mistreating of mums, uh, red flag, run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, the boys' club, the locker room talk, the Friday night cocaine party and the
Mhm.
girls, all of that may look very flashy on TV, but the reality of it, and again, I've interviewed the people that were there, that were in that lifestyle, and they said the cost of that lifestyle when it came crashing down was way more than they ever thought they had to pay,
Yeah.
because it generally ended either with jail or prison, or realizing their addiction to drugs came to their addiction to the power in the workforce.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very concerned about what I see.
Mm,
It's really hard for leaders and managers right now, because the workforce is not the same. People do not want to work on site full time. They
You're right.
don't. They want a hybrid work. They want to work from home 3 days, and they want to choose what those days are. And it's really hard. I see that that can be productive
Mhm.
because I've done that in my office with my team. But I think what's hard is, as the leader, you're now charged with having to build a culture when you don't really have everybody in the room all the time. And some of that culture builds in the kitchen, and you're not in the
Yeah.
kitchen
Right.
of your office anymore,
Right.
or in the cafeteria,
Mhm.
or in a boardroom, or wherever. So managers are really called on now to figure out how to appease their staff, keep them engaged, because people will quit right away. If they don't
Yes.
like what's going on, there's no, I don't want to say there's no loyalty, but there's no incentive for them to stay, because there isn't pension, there isn't a payoff for you staying longer as there was maybe 30, 40 years ago. So
Yes.
people would stay in a company for 20 years. That doesn't happen today. People will
Mhm.
just leave. And so you have to adapt to get those people. I know the consulting companies, people that are young in the consulting companies, some of them have 3 and 4 coaches because they don't want to lose those people. They've invested so much in training them,
Right.
but they know they can leave and go to another firm that will hire them. So they get 6 months paid maternity leave and
Mhm.
whatever else. It's become very competitive to keep staff. It's a real shift in
Yes.
where the power is now in hiring.
Yes. And of course, now what the trend is, 4 day a week. Um, and I look at it this way, okay, depending what kind of industry you're in, but you could do a 4 day a week for certain people and then 3 days for another. And that means you're working 7 days a week. So,
Yeah.
we do have to adapt. COVID was that catalyst to so many
Mhm.
pivoted, different practices, and some of them good, some of them not, but they're here to stay, many of them. And we do the hybrid is there. And it just means that there is a different form of management and innovative ways of getting anyone together. So, you could have Wednesday night at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock when the kids are to bed, everybody on Zoom with a glass of wine, right?
Yes.
And having a chat. There's also something else I came up with. And I have no idea who to pitch it to, but I thought it was a good idea in companies for them to have their own podcast network, where you have a main interviewer speaking to everybody working in the company. What do you want to share? You know,
Oh,
uh,
I love that.
share something about their family, or just sharing a recipe, or even talking about an achievement they've had within the company. But in that way, it's other people can get to know other people through listening to them, and then see them differently, because it's a way of introducing them. It's a way of building that family unit type of thing. So I thought that might be a good idea as well. But we have to realize there is no box, right?
No.
And don't box yourself in. Don't sell yourself short. Now, you might be intimidated, and we're not saying go into a new job and come out firing out of the cannon. It's always good to assess first who are the
Mhm.
players, who is what, who is that, and when you can bring your strength to the table,
Mhm.
right? But don't sit
Agreed.
back and let everybody else's strength be out there and they never show yours.
Agreed. Totally agree.
So you work with small companies, big companies. Who do you work with?
Most of my clients come to me individually. I
Hmm.
do work for a number of corporations who have people that they want to develop.
Hmm.
So I do that as well. Um, that's about a third of my practice. The rest are individuals who are either unhappy in their role, looking for another role, or they just want to be more respected where they are. Most of the time, my clients end up not moving. We are able to position them a little stronger within the organization that they're in. And they're also looking to sleep better, get back to their
Mm,
healthy routines. The well-being is very important to
hellishly.
me for my clients. Work shouldn't come at a cost to your
No,
personal life.
no.
So
Now,
it's,
balance game, going back to balance,
mm,
right? You've got to have
yeah,
family and friends. You've got to have time for self, and you have, time for your work. And, this is where that 5 o'clock shut off came in, right? I'm not taking my work home with me. And I think that's
no.
actually quite healthy. Um,
Uh,
be because,
yeah,
now you've got either friends or family at home, or even yourself at home. This is time for you. And I think that it's not boxing, it's compartmentalizing. And sometimes we need to do that for our own sanity.
I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said, if you give me 6 hours to cut down the tree, I'll spend 4 polishing the axe. If you go into work knowing that you need to get out of there by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you're going to work differently than if you went in there thinking that I'm going to stay till 7. You just become more productive.
Yeah.
But you have to commit to that with intention on the front end.
Yes, I worked with someone who's quite a genius, and it's the way I work, which I didn't realize it. It's not the amount of hours that you're putting in; it's the
True.
productivity in the hours.
That's exactly right. So
So,
true.
and that
Absolutely.
um, knowing your own worth. Now, you may have a piece of paper that says you're this, that, etc. That's fine, but again, who are you? Because in any job, your personality or lack of is going to be what people will see. They're not going to see you're brilliant at accountancy, you're brilliant at marketing, you're brilliant at that. You're not wearing this little neon sign. You are a person that the only way they're going to get to know you is if you show you. Then they'll get to know what you do. But they've got to buy you first. They've got to connect with you first. How connectable are you?
Well, that's so important because I think, honestly, a lot of people don't know enough about themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't describe their signature strengths or their value proposition or their personal mission. They don't have enough form around the function there. They're not self-aware enough. And then if you're not self-aware, you can't self-regulate what's
Right.
going on in your head. And the trifecta is then when you have self-awareness and you have self-regulation, you have self-acceptance. And
Yes.
that's where true belonging, self-esteem sets in, because you're not just put on, you are authentic. And there's a relief in that. There's
Yes.
surrender in that.
As Popeye says, I am what I am.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
we can always improve on ourselves, always. There's always that, like, what else can I do? And it's not about pushing yourself forward. It's not about, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. It's just about, okay, if I can do this, like I started this nearly 11 years ago. I was on another network and it was live. I didn't even know what a podcast was when I was asked to join. Right. And live, many things go wrong, let me tell you. And then
Yeah.
I started my own network. I didn't know what I was doing. Not at all. Somebody helped me initially set it up. Somebody was doing the audio editing for me for a while. And then it was, oh, you're on your own. And then somebody said, do video. Yeah, I'm on my own. And then somebody said, do this. And I'm on my own. And it's like, I didn't know I could do all these things. And it's only when the necessity came up that I
Mhm.
had to do them that you learn to do them and you go, oh gosh, I didn't know I could do that. So
Mhm.
don't sell yourself short, right? We don't know how
So
capable
true.
we are until we're called upon.
So important. That you're talking about risk, and research will say that the only way we build confidence is to take risks. It's the
Mm,
only way. You have to go through it. You just have to do it. And when you do, that's when your confidence grows, because then you will fail and you will see that you're still alive. Nothing happened. Fire breathing dragon didn't burn you down. You're going to survive this.
it ended up you riding the dragon.
That's right. That's right.
Right. And success isn't just becoming the top of the game of the CEO and this and that.
Mhm.
Success is when you have that freedom to live your life and enjoy your life. That freedom is success, right?
Satisfaction.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the word thrive because I
Mm.
think it insinuates that we need to push a little harder, be a little bigger. Satisfied is okay. And our culture wants to tell you that, oh, don't just sit back and be satisfied. No, I think satisfaction is a really good feeling.
Yes. When you feel at the end of the day, that was a good day. Thank you.
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning and you've got something to go to, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
Gratitude. Put some gratitude in your life. That's satisfaction. Now, you've got a free ebook, 31 Ways for Leaders to Be More Valued and Advanced in High Stakes Corporate World. And people can download that link from your site, Mary Lee Gannon. Gannon.com. And
Gannon, right, with a G, Mary
G.
Lee Gannon. Yeah, with a G.
With 31 practices for leaders, so they can download it from there. But if somebody is very interested in, like, I need help, Mary
Yeah.
Lee, help me, where do they go, love?
You can email me directly at marylee@maryleegannon.com, or just go to my website. There's a little consultation click at the top on the menu. Click that and give me your email address, and I'll reach out to you. We'll set up a time to talk. I do it every day.
Wonderful. Of course, you're on LinkedIn under your name, you're on Facebook under your name, you're on Instagram under your name.
Yep.
So Mary Lee Gannon, Gannon, and people can find you all there. And it just today is we're living still in this transitional and almost volatile business world. We're still, pivoting, and we're all kind of a little topsy-turvy and wobbling, and many young people are going, I watched my parents and they just got burnt out and they were never respected, and I don't want that. I want something where I feel I can really contribute, but at the same time I can still have a life. And people don't really understand it's not just a question of what you are contributing. It's not just the information that you're contributing, the skill that you're contributing. You've got to remember you're contributing yourself.
So true. Your soul is who you are, and you bring your soul to everything that you do.
Yes.
And the end product of what you do involves and is better when you bring your whole self to it. If you're just task specific, that's more formulaic. But when you bring the soul of yourself to it, that changes things. That changes the world.
Everybody knows your heart is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we're all hungry for some more heart and soul right now. We're all hungry for that higher consciousness where we feel valued, we feel we're contributing. We don't just feel like a number, right?
So important. And that's what happens often in corporate America. If you're a leader in corporate America, make your people feel real. Make them feel that you care about them. You don't have to be paternal about it. You just have to be human.
This is your community. This is your tribe. You're leading that tribe. I always say that the village is only as strong as everybody's participation, right?
Amen.
So, everybody participate on whatever level you are meant to participate on, and always remember to have gratitude for each other. And be supportive. People have bad days. People have stuff going on. Don't persecute them because they can't achieve that day. Be supportive, be around them. The workspace takes so many hours of everybody's day. And if they've got something going on at home and that's stressed on them, be there for them, be that support. And not only will it help them in the workforce, it'll help them when they go home. So let's just be there for each other.
That's right. That's right. Because we're all one.
We're
all united.
Yeah. And we're all particles of that sun. And we've got to understand, the cellular in our body is in the trillions. But one cell starts breaking down, it breaks down another and another and another. So we need to keep all of ourselves beautifully supportive and look upon each and every one of us as a cell in this whole body structure in the world.
So important. Great stuff, Sarah. Very, very nice.
Together we're in it. It doesn't matter where we are, right?
Exactly
but stand tall in who you are, why you are, but have your own compass, have your own reason for doing it. Is it just a paycheck until you find a career? Or is it a career that you really want to participate in, which means then all of you when you're there, right? And don't be afraid to speak out. Even if someone shuts you down, somebody else heard you, don't keep quiet and don't get argumentative.
Bring all of yourself to what you're doing.
Yes.
Even if it's in your meanwhile time while you're just learning something new or trying or volunteering somewhere, bring all of yourself to it. Because if not, you deny yourself.
Yeah.
You deny yourself.
And if
In
you,
addition to others.
yeah, exactly, exactly, selling everybody short. And if you are that big CEO or that career person that's given yourself so much to your life, um, start investing your time and your expertise in something you can do after. And you'll find that the ignition of other people's lives through your skills, through your wisdom, will pay you far more heart dividends than ever you paid by the wallet. So definitely.
Agreed.
Thank you so much for being here, Mary Lee.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. What a delight. What a conversation. Enjoyed every minute of it.
Great, good. I hope everybody else did that's listening. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to have a podcast party where you all listen and then discuss it afterwards. What's happening in your own workplace? You know, what did we touch on today that you felt was missing? Do you need to reach out to Mary Lee because you are stuck there? You are having a problem in your company, or should you be there? Or should you go somewhere else? Or, you know, just that connection with yourself. And because, you know, if you leave a job and go to another job with the same problem within yourself, you're only going to create that problem in the next job. So get clear with who you are, why you are, and what you're here to do. And then you have that confidence to go forward in doing everything that you do in every aspect of your life. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.